It's Saturday. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Whoa! It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woohoo! Good morning, people. Yes, it's another Saturday already. I think the week's been quite short because of the bank holiday. Sadly, this weekend is only the traditional 2 days long, but never mind. I hope you've got a lot of fun planned for it, and I hope this is a great way to kick it off. I hope you got your coffee. I hope you got your croissants, because here we go, straight into it with Ben, Daggers and Elusive. What a great title. And this is from Ben Daggers, who's someone I've never heard of, but what a great surname, Daggers. I hope that is really his name and he hasn't changed it. I hope his ancestors were just very good with daggers. Wouldn't want to get into a fight with someone whose surname was Daggers, really, would you? This is by Vanishing Ink, and it's the usual high quality, very nice cloth, well bound book. Elusive, I'm guessing, isn't just a clever title. I think it refers to what he says is how hard it is to find one of those tricks that's really, truly entertaining and deceptive. That is an elusive, if you see what I mean. And so what you get from this is Ben's been doing a show in Japan, and these are the tricks that he uses in that show or in his walk around set. So these are really his genuine material that he uses on a daily basis. And he's got rid of all of the chaff, and these are just the tricks that he thinks are complete and perfect and entertaining and are fully developed. So what you get therefore is, despite the thickness of the book, you only really get 12 tricks. And although he's removed all of the chaff, I quite like the chaff sometimes in books. Sometimes I feel this idea that that us wading through some nonsense or some tricks that we wouldn't like is a bad thing. For me, that is often the jumping off point. You know, sometimes I go, well, he's got a good idea there, but he's messed it up. So I would quite like a little bit of chaff. And who is Ben to decide which of his ideas are the best? I think it'd be quite nice if there was a chapter of ideas, you know, chaff at the back. Nice little chaff chapter at the back for me, because I get the impression that Ben is a great thinker and a great card technician as well. And he really does think about his routines, and his style really, really appeals to me. Perhaps if I put more effort in, I would be more like Ben. He seems to go to the nth degree quite a lot. So the tricks aren't all easy. There's a couple of decent, easy ones. Mirror, Mirror, which is a terrific trick of quite a popular do as I do plot, is in here, and that uses a mirror frame. And this is one of those things that you'll find with this book, is Ben's quite keen to introduce the odd prop, the odd little bit of whimsy, and the odd little bibelot to make a trick more interesting, which I completely agree with. It sort of elevates a card trick for me. And from that, you're obviously getting the sense that these tend to be quite formal presentation, sort of parlor tricks on the whole. There is a brilliant walk around trick in here called Technicolor, which is a full deck change where the deck changes into a rainbow deck, which is brilliant little trick. Lots and lots of deceptive shows and subtleties in that. Not the easiest of color changing decks for sure, but certainly effective. And this is really what Ben does, is he doesn't shy away from using the right sleight in the right trick at the right time, despite the fact that that might be the hardest way of doing it. So you can't really dodge sleight sometimes. Sometimes if it's the most efficient and effective way of getting from A to B, that really is what you should do, even if it takes a lot of practice. So you are going to have to practice. If you're going to do the majority of these tricks, you are going to have to practice, probably learn some sleights. The first trick, for example, uses the one-handed shuffle, which is a trick that was like that I have never bothered to learn. I've never had a use for it. Seems just quite a showy thing to do. It just seems like, you know, a bit of pomp, and so I haven't invested in it. But he's got a routine that uses it, and therefore perhaps that is a reason to do it. The same here, he's got a trick that uses a stack, and again, I haven't learned a stack, but I am learning one. If you check out my Facebook page, you will see there are several videos of me learning mnemonica, and that is because I've decided that there are some tricks using a stack that I want to do, so I'm going to do it. There's tricks in here with the cull, which again, you know, a good fast deceptive cull isn't the easiest thing to do, especially if you're doing a full deck or a half deck, as Ben does. But it's well worth putting in the time. And let's face it, this is our hobby. And as I've found learning mnemonica, that progression from starting out, maybe feeling quite daunted, maybe having some failures, to each little step as you get better and closer to achieving it, is really what I feel a hobby is about. And then performing these tricks. So you get 12 tricks in here. They're mostly card tricks. There are 2 coin tricks, which aren't difficult. They're not really difficult. A little bit of misdirection, basic coin sleights, really. A couple of unusual sort of sleights, possibly. Ben hangs out with Pontius Smith, who you might know is a great coin guy. Nothing as hard as Pontius stuff, really. One is coins across, which has a lovely premise. And my favourite, one of my favourite tricks in the book actually is Babel coins. Babel coins, which has these sort of little elixir jars with English and different languages on, essentially, and so you can produce some Chinese coins, swig the English elixir, and they'll turn into English coins, and so on. Great plot, great presentations. And that is essentially what this book is full of. It's full of really good card tricks, possibly quite common plots. Triumph is in here. There's a 2-person triumph, which is one of the tricks that I really like. A hands-off A-can, which uses glasses, not spectacles, wine glasses to hold the cards in. Like I say, it's often quite parlory, some of his tricks, but great for the hobbyist as well, because obviously sometimes you're just sitting down with friends or family, and it's lovely to grab a couple of wine glasses and start doing a bit of magic, you know, and making sure everyone can see them, and really bringing in a nice bit of theatre. And these are really theatrical pieces. Even the Technicolor walk around is quite theatrical. Where was I? What was I talking about? So they're classic plots on the whole, but given a really big twist in the presentation, and that almost changes them really, and makes them something really special, certainly for Ben. And he's got a nice little chapter on here. So there are 3 essays in here. I think it's 3. One is about presentations and just coming up with new hooks and ideas for presenting perhaps a classic plot, and perhaps you can draw on your own life as well. Ben's a very well-travelled guy, and he draws on all of that, so you can speak some languages, which is why Babel coins is so handy for him. The other essays are Thinking Like a Layman, which is a great way of getting or showing or teaching you how to get feedback on a trick when you're just starting out, which is great because it is very hard to think like a layperson. As he points out, we can't really forget the sleights that we know, and it's very hard to watch another magician or have another magician watch you and them not know really what you're doing. Even if they can't see it, they know. Basically, and they often know exactly where the trick's going. There's a nice little chapter on how to get feedback from lay people or even other magicians. Not terribly long. These essays aren't big, verbose, grandizing essays by any means. It's all very down to earth, and Ben's got a great writing voice as well. There's lots of humour in the book, but not grating humour, quite smart humour, I suppose, which is probably why it appeals to me so much. Also, there's a couple of utility sleights in here. There's his drop shuffle, which does use a table, but it's a full deck false shuffle, pretty deceptive, not too difficult to do either. So if you do want to do a full deck shuffle that isn't just a series, that isn't just an obvious series of cuts, you know, something that a lot of people struggle with if they don't want to do a Zarro or in the hands Zarro, and you've got a table, then the drop shuffle is certainly one worth using. And he's also got his double lift in here as well. He said it's something he never really always had a nasty get ready, so he's got his double lift in here, which is a useful thing to do. You can't have too many double lifts. I think it's probably a slight that we overthink as magicians, because it's quite an obvious one if you do it repetitively and so on. But if you watch someone like Harry Lorraine, I thought his double lift was absolutely shockingly awful, but he got away with it. And you do, because lay people don't really focus and don't know about it, so it's not an issue. As you would expect, there's lots of great colour photos here. Everything is taught. There's him teaching the one-handed shuffle. So you really do get a sense of how the tricks progress and how they should be presented and how things are done. There's one of the coins across, which really sort of illustrates almost like a, you know, step by step, frame by frame of a video, which is really nice. It's a book that I just really enjoyed reading. His use of props, mirror, getting a whole mirror frame out to do as I do, that is just something that I would do as well. There's just stuff in here that really excited me and sort of made me want to be a much better magician. I think it's a great book. I think it's a shame he hasn't included other lesser routines. Like I say, you know, there's a trend for these books to really sort of only contain sort of 10 to 15 tricks these days, and I think that's a shame. I do quite like a book that sort of, you know, there used to be 50, there used to be hundreds in these books. But there you go. It's $35.99. As they say, if you get a couple of tricks out of it, you've easily got your money's worth. The coin tricks are well within the grasp of most people within a couple of hours practice. Mirror is virtually self-working, so you can do that straight away and just have some fun with the presentation. And then there are the other card tricks that really give you an excuse to have a go at trying something more technical and more advanced. It's a great book. It's $35.99. And before I go any further, let me just mention there is now something on the Monster Magic website called Monster Rewards. Yes, there is a loyalty scheme. Now, I know you are all terribly loyal to me and Monster. And in fact, if I've lost both my legs in a towering inferno, I'm sure you would rush in, throw me over your shoulder and save my life, because that is the type of customers Monster has. But this is my way of thanking you as well. So I know it's all about my great service, but I would like to thank you. And so that is why I've started the reward points. They're just called Monster Rewards. You get, I think it's 5p for every pound you spend back, and you can redeem that in quantities of one, or you can save them up. 100 points is £5. That's how to think about it. It's not just when you buy something though, it's also when you get a birthday, if you leave a review of a product or the shop, which would be nice. Well, nice review would be nice, obviously. Or if you refer someone, and that really is what I'm hoping most people will do. As you know, I'm a small business and I really do need to grow, and getting the word out there is a bit of a struggle. So if you do know someone who hasn't used Monster, you can refer them. You get 10% off your next order. They get 10% off their next order, and everyone's a winner. So that is the Monster Reward Point Scheme. And now it's the time for Any Thoughts of Card to Pocket by Illusionist, by Gent, Clarke, or G, as he is popularly known, and Christian Grace. As you'll find out in the tutorial for this, it's mainly Gent's trick. Christian just helped him with a few things. Originally it was a cards across, and Christian suggested it should go to the pocket. The actual effect is pretty much in the title. You ask someone to cut off a portion of cards, count 10 cards off the top of the deck, turn them over, choose one of those cards, remember it, and then you pretend to take that card, throw it into your pocket, or have it disappear in any fashion that you really like. They then count their cards, and there's only 9. Turn the cards over and spread them, and their card has in fact vanished, and you then produce it from your pocket. It is terrific. It is very clever use of already out there gimmick. It's one of those things that perhaps people should just play around with these standard gimmicks a lot more, become a little bit obsessed, and come up with something new. Originally, it was cards across until Gent talked to Christian. Christian thought it should go to the pocket. I think it sort of seemed more obvious it would be cards across. I think Christian's use of the pocket is a genius way of doing it, because it does feel more impossible. And it uses some gimmicked cards, which are here. Can't really show you them because I don't really want to give away the gimmick necessarily. The one thing I will say is they're not printed terribly well. They don't seem to be printed by the United States Playing Card Company as bicycles are. They seem to be printed by someone else. They've got a sort of slightly funny texture. They feel a bit odd, but that's me as a magician. Obviously, from a layperson, they'll be fine. And that is one of the tricks with this, is you do need a little bit of audience management, a tiny bit, and probably to pick the right spectator, because the gimmicks are in the spectator's hands and they do have to spread them. So you don't really want someone who isn't familiar with handing cards, or has got bad motor skills, or is a little bit cack-handed, because that might be an issue. But actually, the way the cards are gimmicked, it is really, really well hidden. And even, if you're looking at the face of a whole card, you're instantly drawn to where they should be looking to remember it, rather than seeing what the gaff is, if you see what I mean. So you are really, really safe. And what that means is that you actually have this moment where they go from holding 10 cards to 9 cards, being completely hands-off. It's a hands-off vanish of a card, which is what makes this so powerful. You haven't touched the cards, you haven't been near them, and yet one of them has vanished and appeared into your pocket, and then you can turn them over and show that it is actually their card that has vanished. It's clever. It is easy to do. The gimmicks do all of the work for you. Just a little bit of audience management, a little bit of good presentation. And the tutorial actually is a lot of Gent and Christian have slightly different takes on it. And Christian teaches some really good blocking of a trick as well, which is probably useful if you ever if you ever do any magic, really, listening to how Christian thinks about where things are put on the table, where you're standing, how you address people, things to remind them of. That's one of the reasons why Christian's tricks are essentially so popular, is because his psychology that he uses makes them seem more powerful than what you're actually doing. And really is just rinsing every little bit of magic, elusive magic, out of everything that you do. So great teaching, really interesting. There's a massive chat between Gent and Christian that goes on for over an hour, which it's probably very few people have actually sat through the whole thing, but it is a really, really good, easy to do trick, and you just need these gimmicks, and you can add them into any redback bicycle deck that you like, and you're good to go, well within the grasp of anyone. True powerful. It's a true miracle, and it is only $27.99. And now we have CS by N2G. Yes, they really should be a boy band. I'd love a boy band called N2G. They are the masters of making decent coin sets, it seems. And this is a $50 shell set. They're not genuine $50, I don't think. So anyway, they do feel completely legit. They look completely legit. They've got the right weight. They've got the right sound. And any of you who are really pernickety, they all have the same date on them as well, as does the shell, which has got the same date as well. So you are completely covered should anyone be a real nosy Parker, or you be one of those fusspots in the world of magic. You think people check the dates on coins. They're nice, They are very nice. They are very shiny. This is one of those things that it's quite hard to get all half dollars that have got the same amount of tarnish or polish on them. So it's quite good that they've sort of minted them themselves. So they are all completely identical in look and feel. The shell is good. The coin with the shell on, it doesn't quite cover the whole edge, but as you know, it's an expanded shell, and that really is just the way they work. There is a Tango Perfect shell which will cover the whole thing, but really no one is ever looking at the edge close enough to ever see what's going on. It fits perfectly, it fits snugly, you can move it around, it doesn't rattle, doesn't make any telltale noises. It's a really good coin shell set. Can't fault it for quality, precision at all. The teaching that you get on the video is, I think it's about 11 minutes long. It's about 11 minutes, it's 11:25. It is very good, it's clear, but it's only the explanations. You don't really get to see the tricks demonstrated. And what they teach is a sort of classic free fly, coins through table, matrix, and a coins across. And they're taught very clearly. It's a nice over the shoulder angle, and they cover everything. It's just a shame they never really show it from the front and give you a presentation of it, so you can know really what you're aiming for, what the effect is. Obviously, if you're an experienced magician, or you're fine, you know what free fly is, you know what a matrix is meant to look like, you'll be fine. But for a complete beginner who has never seen free fly before, they might be a bit confused as to generally what the effect is meant to look like and how to present it. So it would have been nice if they'd included just a little presentation, even just to the camera, as well as the explanations. But like I say, you can learn it from the explanations. You can learn all of those things from the explanations. Plus, you can also, you know, there are plenty of coin DVDs or downloads or books even. It's £50, which is quite a lot. Given the tutorial, maybe it's worth it. It's up to you, but if you are a beginner in coin magic, I would suggest you're still going to need some other teaching to go with it. But it's very good quality, and that is CS by N2G. And now we've got the return of Bill Abbott with BlockBuster. Yes, this isn't a new trick by Bill. It's been out a little bit of a while, but it's fairly new to the Monster website, and I got it in because I used to perform this. It is a great little trick. You get a lot of mileage from just one deck of cards. Essentially, the routine is you have a triple prediction. You have 3 cards chosen and returned to the deck. One person romantically blows a kiss at the deck, another person uses an invisible gun and shoots the deck, and a third person casts a magical spell or motion over the deck or whatever you want, and then you reveal their cards. The person who's blew the kiss, their card now has a kiss on it. The person who fired the gun, their card now has a hole in it, supposedly a bullet hole. And the third person, all the deck goes blank apart from their card. That final revelation of all the other cards being blank is just terrific. The rest is quite comic. I love the bad lipstick card, which comes from Tony Binarelli. I think was the first person who did lips back in the day, many moons ago. And this is actually a combination with this one deck of cards here. So you do get the deck. It's a blank deck with the kiss card, the bullet card, and the other gimmick. They are also gimmicks as well to make that the forces are really easy. So surprisingly enough, you do have to pick, you do force all 3 cards. This is covered in great detail by Bill, despite how simple these forces are. And he also runs through a little bit of help of how to practice it, you know. And really, you just want to be, you know, just practicing and make sure you hit those cards every time. But it's super easy to do. And this is, like I was about to say, a combination of sort of 3 different tricks, really. The finale of it all going blank, I'm not sure where that originated. I think Bill mentions Mir Yedid for that. Certainly Bill's influence was from there. Tony Binarelli did the lips trick, which is great. And then there's the bullet hole, which has been around since the cows come home. I first saw Terry Seabrook do that, and I think it's on a couple of Terry's books. Bill also talks about the fact that perhaps having a gun may not be right for some people. Who knows? Perhaps if you're doing it to children, or you've got people who are sensitive about guns, you know, there's a little bit of a risk there. And I certainly know that when my dad was trying to buy my children some toy cowboy guns, he had a hell of a time, because the world's got very sensitive, hasn't it? So he talks about other presentations, one of which is sort of just using a laser pointer, which is good, because that you can actually have a red laser pointer, you know, and hand that out. And as I said earlier, big fan of a prop. Or you could do the magnifying glass as well, and teach children how to burn ants with the sun, which I don't know why that used to be a hobby. What we used to do before the internet, eh? It's a lot of mileage from just one deck of cards. It's very entertaining. It involves 3 people, which is terrific. It is £50, and that's quite a lot for a deck of cards, let's be honest. You do get Bill's teaching. It is a really, really strong routine. It's a really entertaining routine, and it can be performed close up or parlour. And actually on the tutorial, there are 2 presentations of Bill performing it, one in quite a nice parlour setting and also at a house party. So it's very versatile as well. There's a lot to be said for it. It's just a shame it's so expensive, but Bill does know the value of what he's giving you here. It's £50. It's BlockBuster by Bill Abbott. And now, sponge balls. Yes, there are... Goshman's going over a little bit of a change at the moment. The biggest sponge ball manufacturer in the world. I'm not quite sure what he's up to. Not producing many colours, not producing many sizes. But he's gone from producing the Super Soft, which are these, to the Pro. Now, how you decide whether you want to go Super or Pro is entirely up to you. I want to just talk about a little bit about the differences. So they are different colours. Obviously, on the left here, you've got the Super Soft, which is the standard, or the colour that we probably most recognise, and the Pro are sort of brighter, more childish. So the Super Soft is definitely slightly softer, does compact down a little bit more. It's mainly the colour difference, and I've never really been that bothered as to whether or not I'm using Super Soft, Ultra Soft or Standard. That doesn't really matter, but the difference is simply the colour. And the Super Soft, the sponge, sort of more visible that it's sponge. There's a smoother surface here on the Pro, but I mean, there's not much to choose between them really, but the different colours, it's entirely up to you. But there you go. So that is the Pro, and that is the Super Soft. And finally, something very, very exciting came through the Monster HQ doors earlier this week, and that is my rope. Yes, I've had some rope made. It is 9mm super soft coreless rope. It will come in these nice Ziploc bags, which you can use to keep either your rope nice and clean or for something else afterwards. It's nice, it's soft, it's made by a top rope manufacturer, and it comes in a variety of colours: red, green, blue, and of course my favourite, Monster Pink. You might just be wondering, why wouldn't everyone just choose white? Well, you might be surprised that under lights, and depending on what clothing you're wearing, white isn't always the best option for stage situations. Pink for me has always been one of my favourite stage colours, because it stands out against what I'm wearing, and I know there's never really anything else pink on stage. Occasionally there can be some white, or there can be a bright light that can mask a white rope. Obviously the same can be said for other colours. Red will certainly pop out as well. Blue is great for walk around, where you might find that you end up touching the floor or getting a bit grubby. Blue is one of my favourites in a walk around. environment. I also have some rings for your ring on rope. These are 10 centimeters by 6 millimeters here, and they've got quite a nice weight to them. If I can get the end out, can I get the end out? There we go. And I've just found these got a lot of samples in, believe me, and these are a nice weight, a nice size, so that they hang nicely on the rope. They're good for throwing onto the rope. They've got just the right density for that, right mass, shall we say. They are chrome. They have got a weld, which is, you know, the only sort of little blemish on the otherwise perfectly circular thing. But I think it's quite nice to have a weld. When you're having the ring inspected, you can go, look, check out the weld, nice, good welding like that, and make out as if I'd done it myself. So they're going on the website very soon as well. Yep, and that's new additions to the hopefully ever-expanding range of Monster Magic exclusives. And that brings me to the end of the show. If you want to see a little bit more of me before next weekend, tomorrow on Sunday, it will be the denouement of whether or not I have managed to learn mnemonica in a week without any trick memory palaces or anything like that, with just brute force. So you can check that out on the Facebook page. If there is something else you'd like me to learn, perhaps the one-handed shuffle from Elusive, then let me know and I will do that next. But otherwise, it is a farewell from me. I hope you have a lovely week and get out there and practice and perform and entertain with the best hobby in the world. Bye-bye.